Hey everybody, I'm John, and welcome to ByteHound. We started this channel because we have a passion for cybersecurity, Python, technology, and we're dog lovers. In this Security Operations Center, or SOC Lessons series, I'm going to walk through setting up extra layers of security that we can apply to protect our data from sophisticated attackers, because malicious AI tools are being used as we speak. I've had the privilege to work in several SOCs, and one of the key takeaways is to simply have a risk-smart approach to security. Similar to the way that you monitor your phone for unknown callers, but maybe just a fraction more effort. It just might be worth it, trust me. With that in mind, we can use pfSense because it is well maintained and continually updated, but equally capable of enterprise level defense. Also, they did not sponsor this video. Now when I say extra layers of security, what do I mean? I'm referring to the OSI model, or the Open Systems Interconnection Model, which is a framework everyone uses for computer systems to communicate easier over a network. Because of its layout, it offers streamlined troubleshooting by isolating communication issues to specific layers. We are going to increase visibility by placing more sensors in the network flow, as illustrated right here. These extra layers act as additional shields working within the OSI model that we can deploy for major visibility and control. But adding layers can add complexity to troubleshooting problems, and if you were thinking about that so far, you're correct. However, walk with me and remember I mentioned visibility, and that's what we're going to rely on as our guide. It's gonna act like an information multiplier, you'll see. What magical shields am I speaking of? Well, here's kind of an overview that we get to deploy. One you might know of is Intrusion Prevention System, that's up on the left there, which will target behavior and signature-based attacks. Another tool that we're gonna implement is web traffic filtering, so malware-prone sites are auto-blocked, auto-updated, and it kind of acts auto-magically. Another tool is DNS blacklisting, so that malicious domains are auto-blocked and auto-added so that current or future malware cannot phone home. That means that when malware running on a device in your network, or you get from a website that you went to or inadvertently went to, and it tries to phone home inside your network, this tool can help blocking those phone home calls. They're called beacons. On top of that, we're going to deploy tools that better articulate the traffic in your network so you can quiet the noisiest of network hogs, or traffic shape their usage. Did you know that state-sponsored attackers have compromised many US internet service providers? I think adding high visibility and granular control will force attackers to move on to the next target, even if it is AI. Plus, you'll have more confidence in protecting access to your stuff. Anyone that has a network can harness this. It's not only for cybersecurity people. We appreciate you watching. Let us know in the comments what layer you think we should configure next. Did you find this video useful? Click or tap like and subscribe for more content. Hey everyone, here we are. So this is the first screen you're going to see after booting up your pfSense appliance for the first time. This is the menu that you are greeted with. We're going to focus on setting up interfaces. So number 2 for us. I would just also like to note that if you ever feel that you need to reset everything back to factory defaults, you just go through number 4 here. And this menu stays up as long as this appliance stays up. So this menu will always be what you're greeted with on the command line or the terminal. One thing that I did want to touch on is how to find the IP address that you're going to need in order to assign it to this pfSense firewall if you haven't already done so. Okay, if you're on Windows, Linux, or Mac, bring up a command line screen. And if you're on Windows, do ipconfig. If you're on Linux and Mac, just do ifconfig. And you will see the IP address that you have been issued. Yours may be a 192.168, a 10.10. And here you're going to select an IP address you're going to assign to the pfSense interface. For example, I would like to assign .165. So here's what I'm going to do to test to see if 165 is available. I'll type in ping, and we'll do 172.16.20.165. And we're not getting any returns on that, so I know that that IP address is empty. I can use that IP address to now assign to my pfSense interface. So we'll just minimize this. And we'll go back to the menu screen, and we'll start with number 2. We're going to set the LAN, so number 2. Nope, we're going to configure it ourselves. We don't want DHCP to do it for us. 172.16.20.165. Enter. And our subnet mask is going to be 24. And that's it. Press enter. No, we do not want to do DHCP for IPv6. We'll just hit enter for none. Do you want to enable DHCP server on the LAN? No, we do not. And do you want to revert HTTP? No, we're going to mark no, we want to use HTTPS. And that's our new address. Alright, let's bring up a browser and start configuring pfSense. Let's navigate to the IP address that we assigned it. There we go. When you get to this point, you go ahead and click Advanced and accept the risk and continue. This is okay. And when we get to this point, the default username is admin and the default password is pfSense, all lowercase. Before we get into the initial configuration of pfSense, let's talk about DNS for a second. Typically, you do not want to use DNS settings provided to you by your ISP because it's easier to track your history that way. We want to make it difficult for attackers to know anything about our network or its traffic. To that end, here's some information that I've assembled so that we can be informed of what our other options are. Some of the providers you see have different IP addresses for different filtering options, such as malware blocking and enforcing safe browsing. We still have to have a DNS server resolve our requests securely and efficiently. Though they have not sponsored this channel, I like Quad9 and OpenDNS myself. They are privacy and security oriented. Once you know which ones you're going to use, we can just plug them in during the initial configuration next. We'll click Next. This is just a support page letting you know that there's support available should you choose, and it is a purchase option. Click Next. This is where we're going to rename our host, and we're going to use a name that is nondescript, that gives away nothing about what this box does. So to that end, let's do box 1. That'll work. We can leave this domain name as is, or you can change it to a domain if you're hosting your own domain. And finally, we get to our primary and secondary DNS servers. In this case, I'm going to use Quad9. And that's those two that you see there. Yep. We're going to leave this option checked because we want to allow us to override the DNS servers given to us by our ISP on our WAN. So this is excellent. We'll click Next. I'm going to leave this as the default NTP pool. This is basically where your server is going to pull its time from. And basically down here, we're going to have to set up our time zone. Go ahead and select yours. I will select mine and click Next. Good. So on the WAN interface, we're going to leave this as DHCP. And for the rest of these options, we're going to leave them as is. We're going to leave these bottom two options checked as these are best practices. Click Next. And we can see that the IP address that we assigned previously is still configured. This is excellent. Click Next. And our admin password, we're going to change that so that nobody knows what it is and that it is not easy to guess. Now we're going to click Reload. And this is just going to take a second. It's going to come back, and basically this is the end of the setup. All right, so we can do 3 things here. We can click check for updates, and we're going to get the latest updates. In this instance, we just installed the latest version, and we're on the latest version, so I'm not going to check for updates. We can also just click finish, and it will take us to the starting page. The other thing we can do is just go to System and General Setup, and that's where I'm going to go. Right here, we can review all the configuration changes that we've already made and ensure that they all took and they remain the same. As you can see right here, the host name that we chose earlier is still configured. This is excellent. We'll just go ahead and scroll through the rest of this configuration. This looks good. And yep, time zone selected. And for now, we're going to leave these as is. Down here, we can change the color of our login page. I'm going to leave mine as default. And you can choose to show your host name on the login banner. I choose not to, so I will leave that box unchecked.